Hello and welcome to another Stoney Ridge Ag Services video. Right now we're in our soybean trial plot, and on this side we have 002A63 and on this side we have 002A19X. One of the questions we had last week was why the A63s are a lot lighter in color than some soybeans, and that's just a variety trait. The A63s tend to be a lot lighter. We'll maybe put a picture up to show you the difference between the A63s and the A19Xs. There's nothing to worry about when the A63s are a little bit lighter. That's how they should be. They're not suffering at all. So right now I've pulled the A19X plant and it is in the V3 stage. We have 3 trifoliates out. Right about this time at the summer solstice, when the days start getting shorter, is when they start flowering, so they would go into the R1 stage.
Today is June 25th and we can start seeing some of the small purple flowers in the beans. As you can see, the purple flowers are in the axil where the leaf meets the stem. So you won't see them from the road, but if you go out and scout, you will be able to see them. Quickly talk about our second pass herbicide. The glyphosate label is up until flowering, so if you still have to do your second pass, you want to go out to your field and see if there are flowers there or not, and if they're open or if they're still closed, because if you do go too late, you can cause some flower abortion, which then could cause some lower yields. If you're doing a tank mix option such as Pursuit, that says up to the 3rd trifoliate. However, you do want to make sure it's also not flowering before that. Once we get to the V3 stage, or have 3 trifoliates, our plant starts to fix nitrogen and forms nodules on the root system. So it's a good time to go out now and dig up some plants, and you can just shake those roots, and then it's best to soak them because those nodules can fall off quite easily. And when you cut those nodules open, you want them to be a pink or reddish color inside, and that means that they're active. So for our question this week, we want to ask you, how many pounds per acre does a soybean plant fix of nitrogen? So now that we have the roots all cleaned off, you can see that there are some nodules starting to form on these roots. This year we are finding that in some low areas we don't have very much nodulation yet, which that could be for when we had those heavy rains and the soil gets very saturated, and the rhizobium needs oxygen to survive. So if you are going to go and look at nodulation, it would be good to compare some of those areas that were saturated versus your areas with a little higher elevation. So once you find your nodules, you just want to open them up and see if they're active right now. And you can see this one has that pinky reddy color, so that is actively fixing nitrogen for the plant.
So we're out here in a field of 45 CM36, and we just wanted to make sure and remind you that when spraying your second pass of Roundup, if you're doing a second pass, to make sure that you are going by the label, because as you can see in this field, this would be getting too late. We already have the buds coming, it's starting to bolt, and we don't want to be putting Roundup on then because it can lead to flower abortion. Chris Willenberger of the U of S has done some work and found big yield reductions, smaller seed size, and aborted pods with late glyphosate applications on Roundup Ready canola. So just because we can cause damage to those flowers with a late glyphosate application, we do want to be careful how late we're going, and it is important to remember that with Invigor we can go a little bit later. On the label they say to early bolting, but in our glyphosate resistant fields we want to be in a little bit earlier if we can.
So here we are in the cornfield, and as you can see, it has grown a lot in the last 2 weeks. I'm short, but it's still pretty tall. So 1 week ago, Logan came out with some whiteout, and he marked where the leaf was just coming out of the whorl. It was a newly forming leaf, and now you can see where that whiteout was, and it grew this much in 1 week. So I would say that's about 1.5 feet of growth. It's really loving the heat. Last week we put 1/2 inch of water down here with the pivot. We also put 30 pounds of nitrogen because we're coming into the stage now where we have a lot more nitrogen uptake through the plant because of the rapid growth. And this week we're planning on putting 1 more inch down throughout the week, just because we have been a little bit dry in the sandy soil. It dries out a lot quicker. Last video, the question of the week, it was what is happening in this area. We want to give you the answer. When we were banding our fert this spring, the pivot was parked here, so we just had to go around the pivot. So there's a few circular areas in a field like this, and it just means that there's been no fertilizer. So it really shows what fertilizer can do. So this week we can really see the nodal root development in the corn that we were talking about in the last video. And I'll insert a picture here showing those brace roots. You can now also clearly see the growing point above the soil level. So all you have to do is grab an X-Acto knife and one corn plant, and you just slice that stalk down the middle. So now that we have our stalk cut in half, you can see some interesting things. So right here, these are our nodes. So below here now, the stalk is very strong, and that's going to help support our plant. And then up here is our growing point. So all of the leaves that are going to come out of this plant are in the whorl. You can see, you could pull them all back and see how many leaves are actually going to be initiated from this plant. And then this week, so here's all the different leaves. And now this week we could actually see the tassel. So what we could do is we could count how many leaves are wrapped in there, and we could find out when that tassel is going to emerge. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, don't forget to contact us. We hope you have a good couple weeks. How does it look?
Pretty good.